Have you ever wondered what the point is of going to college or university? Yes, I know, the question may seem trivial. Everyone knows that university is for learning skills that will make you a professional so that you can later work in something related to what you have learned. That's more or less the theory. In my case, a lot more drinking was involved, but that's the theory. But what if I told you that, in reality, university has another great function that has nothing to do with teaching? Well, look, in order to illustrate my point, let's play a game. Of the university graduates who are watching this video, I want you to answer this question in the comments. What percentage of what you learned at university do you apply in your day-to-day work? I am certain that unless you are doctors, mathematicians, or workers in a very technical profession, most of you will answer that you use around 10 to 30% at most. In other words, the place where you have really learned to work is in your own workplace and not at the university. Now, if the university does not offer us great training for work performance, then what on earth is the point of studying? Why do so many families spend thousands and thousands of dollars on their children's education? Wouldn't it be better to start working directly as apprentices in a profession and then skip the university process entirely? Well, Visualeconomik viewers, if you want to know the answers, then I'll tell you in this video. You do? Of course you do. So let's get cracking. Imagine that you are in charge of hiring personnel in an office, and when you arrive at your job, you find 300 resumes on your desk. Your objective is clear: to select the best candidate out of those 300 resumes so that the person who sent it will become the new office administrator. However, in order to find the best candidate, you must face a major economic problem: the problem of hidden characteristics. A problem that occurs when a buyer does not know very well the quality of what he or she is buying. For example, when buying a second-hand car, it is difficult to know if the car we are buying really is in the excellent condition promised by the seller, or if it actually has some defect that is being hidden from us. The seller will always tell us that the car is in perfect condition, while we will never be sure that that is really true. Well, this same thing that happens in the job market. If we have to hire someone, we can never be 100% sure that the person we hire will be a hardworking, skilled person who knows how to do his or her job well. However, we can try to ascertain it, and to do so, we can use two methods. The first consists of screening, that is, examining the attributes of our candidates. Returning to the example of the car, the screening would consist of taking it to the mechanic, having it serviced, and checking that everything is in good condition before buying it. In the same way, in the case of hiring a worker, the screening would consist of something like theoretical exams, psych evaluations, interviews, and in short, any investigation that could provide information about the candidate's abilities and way of working. However, this method has one drawback. Examining 300 people one by one, doing 300 interviews and doing 300 psych evaluations, well, it would be very expensive and time-consuming. So first, you have to reduce the number of candidates with a second method, the signaling method. And what does the signaling method consist of? It consists of a sign associated with a product that is a guarantee of quality. For example, the number of stars in a hotel, the number of likes on a YouTube video, or the Google reviews of various local businesses. All of them are indicators of the quality of what we consume. Now, knowing this, can you guess something that could be a great sign in a job candidate? 3, 2, 1. Well, yes, a university degree. Regardless of whether the degree is in one field of study or another, the point is that it gives us three very important indications about the person who has obtained it. Firstly, that she or he is resolute enough to pass exams. Secondly, that the person has the ability to maintain a steady work pace and deliver tasks on time. And thirdly, that he or she has invested in their future and that he or she has, well, at least a basic level of responsibility. So, when in doubt, companies and recruiters rely on the signaling of university degrees and quickly discard those who do not have them. However, wait just a moment, because the truth is that the signaling effect can cause a major economic problem on a large scale. A problem that in Latin countries leads, for example, to tens and tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of university graduates who end up working as supermarket cashiers or waiters or in jobs that have nothing to do with what they've studied. In fact, according to the latest data published by the CYD Foundation, almost 40% of all workers with university degrees in Spain work in jobs that do not require their qualification. To put this in perspective, the average in the European Union is less than 25%. Now, do you want to know exactly what the problem that leads us to all this? Well, check this out.
The degree-itis cycle.
Visualeconomik community, let's return to the case of Spain, which we'll use as an illustrative example. If we take into account both underemployment and unemployment, almost 5 out of every 10 university graduates do not have a job commensurate with their level of studies. In other words, practically half of Spaniards have been studying at university for several years for nothing. You see, what happens is that the problem of the signaling that we described appears when it becomes excessive, when companies ask for university degrees as a requirement for everything, even for simple and poorly paid jobs, which, under normal conditions, no studies would be required. This is what we call degree-itis, the problem that forces young people to have to spend thousands and thousands of euros and several years in training that, at the end of the day, only serves to put them on their resume that they have gone to college. To which you might ask, what is it that leads signaling becoming excessive and turning into a qualification obsession? Who is to blame for all this mess? Well, to answer these questions, we have to introduce you to the cycle of degree-itis. Imagine a country where there is no degree-itis, a country where young people can find work in the field of their studies. One day, in that country, a politician decides to make a change to make it easier for more people to enter university and to study. For example, they allow students to repeat failed courses more times, they lighten the course load, or they establish or make up new exams. As college becomes more affordable, more people with fewer skills, who are less hardworking and are generally less well prepared, will have an easier time graduating. And what happens when graduates are less and less prepared? Indeed, suddenly a university degree is no longer a guarantee of a worker's excellence. Companies realize this and begin to ask for higher signals. For example, while before the change, a bachelor's degree was enough to prove your worth, after the change, you'll need a master's degree. But watch out, because it doesn't end there. After the increase in requirement by companies, university students realized that now what is needed to have a good job is a master's degree. A bachelor's degree is no longer enough, so they will demand more facilities and university investment from the government, and it's back to square one. The consequences of this vicious cycle is that students increasingly have to invest more time and money in signaling themselves in order to access exactly the same jobs. However, this is not the only problem that excessive signaling can create, because what if I told you that in addition, degree-itis could be causing increased school dropout rates? You see, in 2001, a University of California study found evidence that making college more accessible caused an increase in the number of people who dropped out of school early. Specifically, for every 10% increase in university enrollment, the dropout rate in secondary education increased by 3.3%. And yes, I know what many of you are wondering. What is the point of this? What does making it easier to go to college have to do with people dropping out of high school? According to the author's explanation, what happens is that as university becomes easier, the signaling power of a medium study, such as a high school diploma, loses value. In other words, if everyone has a university degree, having a high school diploma is worthless. Now, tell me something. What do you think a person who does not feel qualified to go to university, but who could graduate from high school, would do in that situation? Well, in ideal situations, with a valuable diploma, he or she would graduate high school and find a job. However, with a diploma that is worthless, this student may simply decide to abandon their studies prematurely. In short, this obsession with degrees not only leads some people to study more than they should, but it leads others to study less than they should. And that creates a job market completely divided down the middle. And guess what? This is precisely what happens in Spain, a country where the rate of the population with university studies exceeds the average for the European Union, and at the same time is one of the countries with the highest number of people who do not have a high school diploma or equivalent studies.
30% of young Spaniards do not have a high school diploma or equivalent studies.
Be that as it may, it's possible that something doesn't quite fit. Yes, it's clear that this signaling theory might make some sense, but doesn't the problem have something to do with the fact that the labour market is not able to absorb all the graduates? Is this degree-itis the problem of the educational bubble, or the problem of an economic model that is incapable of absorbing university talent? Well, to answer that question, we have to get on a plane and take a long trip. Visualeconomik viewers, we are going to Hong Kong.
The workers' paradise.
Hong Kong is one of those places where work is practically guaranteed. Despite all its political problems with China, the unemployment rate in this autonomous city hardly exceeds the 3% barrier. To give you an idea, this means that in Hong Kong, only 3 out of every 100 job seekers fail to find a job. This is a particularly positive figure considering that in countries such as Spain, this figure is almost 5 times higher. In a nutshell, we could say that Hong Kong is the perfect place when it comes to the job market and employment opportunities. And this is especially good for one reason. If Hong Kong, despite its great capacity to generate employment, is suffering from degree-itis, this means that the signaling effect is real and not simply a problem of the labour market. Now, how on earth can we know if there is degree-itis in Hong Kong or not? One way to find out is to compare self-employed workers with salaried workers. Note that self-employed people do not need to worry about the signaling effect. He or she doesn't have to go through the recruitment process, and he or she doesn't have to signal anything. The salary of a freelancer who has gone to university compared to a non-graduate will only be higher because of their unique capabilities and not because of any signaling effect. However, a salaried employee who has gone to college, in addition to being paid more for what he or she has learned in his or her studies, will also be paid more for having his or her college degree. Although, naturally, if degree-itis does not exist, if signaling is not important, then there will be no difference between self-employed and salaried workers. And And this, precisely this, is what economists Haywood and Way investigated in a 2004 study. So, what did they find? They found that salaried employees obtained a 40% higher return on their university degrees than the self-employed. In other words, signaling was almost half as valuable as the skills acquired during the degree. The hypothesis is confirmed. The problem of university devaluation is not only a problem of the labour market, but a problem derived from the signaling effect and indiscriminate access to university degrees. Does this mean that degrees should be made more inaccessible? That some people should be turned away from higher education in order to restore the value of university degrees? And this synonymous with the sole idea that the training of the population is bad? Well, no, none of these things. If there is one thing that is clear to us at Visualeconomik, it is that studying has a clear beneficial effects on the economy, and that the solution should never be to eliminate the possibility of studying for anyone, especially young people. So what is the solution? Well, we are going to propose two of them. The first is to raise the level of university degrees. Allow everyone to study, yes, but the content of the degree should be advanced and in-depth, thus increasing the value of each degree. I know this sounds a bit unpopular. For many people, college degrees are hard enough without making them even harder. Should people who are struggling be left out of higher education? Well, no. And that's why the second solution we propose is to increase the range of training on offer. A few years ago in Spain, there was a type of university degree called a diploma. These degrees were shorter in duration and had relatively simpler content than the university degrees, but they did serve to teach a series of valuable skills for the professional world. By reinstating qualifications such as these, students could be divided according to the level of difficulty of the studies they wish to access, thus avoiding unnecessary overqualifications. Along the same lines, another complementary solution would be to strengthen vocational training so that young people who want to work in very specific fields can be trained without the need for a more general university degree. In any case, there are many solutions and the debate has been going for a long time. So now it's over to you. Have you had any close encounters with degree-itis? Do you think that a reform of the education system in your country is necessary? Or do you think it works fine? What solutions would you apply to end university bubbles? You can leave us your answer in the comments below. And as always, don't forget that here on Visualeconomik, we release new videos every week, so subscribe to this channel and hit the little bell button down there so you didn't miss any of our updates. If you like this video, like it so we know. All the best, and I'll see you next time.